Once I
The
believed
sky above
humans
the
were
alien
weak.
world burned
I
with
was
smoke,
wrong.
and fire-broken ships lay across the
you do
land
not
like
need
dead
to do
giants.
this.
We will talk.
The war had ended only hours ago, but the ground still shook from distant blasts. Human soldiers were forced to their knees in long lines. Their armor was broken, their faces tired and dirty. Many were injured, some could not even stand. Alien guards walked around them with weapons ready. They laughed and spoke in sharp, cold voices. This world belonged to the Zelari Empire, a powerful alien race that ruled many systems to them. Humans were weak, too small, too emotional, too soft. That belief had been taught for generations. A massive royal ship descended from the clouds. Its silver body reflected the burning sky. When it landed, every alien soldier stood straight. They lowered their heads in respect. The alien princess had arrived. She stepped out slowly, surrounded by elite guards. Her skin was pale and smooth, her eyes bright and cold. Long white hair flowed down her back, braided with silver. Her armor was elegant, not made for battle, but for command. She looked at the battlefield with calm interest. This was Princess Illyra, daughter of the Zelari Emperor. She had come to see the defeated humans herself. She walked past burning wrecks and fallen bodies. Her expression did not change to her. This was normal. This was how weak races ended. She stopped in front of the human prisoners. Her eyes moved across them slowly. She saw fear, pain, anger, and silence. She smiled slightly. "So these are the humans," she said. "The race that dared resist the Zelari Empire." One of her advisors stepped forward. "Princess, these humans fought longer than expected." Illyra laughed softly. "Longer means nothing. They still lost. Weak creatures always lose in the end." Her words echoed across the field. Some humans lowered their heads, others clenched their fists. One human did not move. He was a soldier kneeling near the center. His armor was cracked, his face covered in blood and dust. One eye was swollen, but still open. He looked directly at the Princess. Illyra noticed him. She walked closer and stopped in front of him. She said, "Look at me." The soldier did not speak. He slowly raised his head. His eyes were calm, not afraid. Illyra frowned. "Interesting," she said. "Even now you do not beg." She turned to her guards. Humans always break eventually. They cry, they beg, they kneel. She looked back at the soldier. "You will do the same." The soldier still said nothing. Illyra felt a strange irritation. She did not like silence from prisoners. She raised her hand. "Make an example," she said. "Execute 5 of them." Alien guards moved forward. Weapons glowing fears spread through the human line. Some cried out, others closed their eyes. The soldier watched carefully. His hands tightened against the ground. Before the execution could happen, the sky screamed. A loud blast tore through the air. An explosion hit the far side of the field. Alien soldiers were thrown back. Another blast followed. Then another alarm sounded. Guards shouted orders in ambush. Hidden human fighters attacked from the ruins. They had waited for this moment, their last desperate strike. Illyra stumbled as the ground shook. Her guards moved around her quickly. "Protect the princess." Smoke filled the air. Laser fire crossed the field. In the chaos, something went wrong. An explosion separated Illyra from her guards. Debris fell between them. For a moment, she was alone. She turned, trying to call out, but the noise was too loud. Then she saw them. Enemy creatures from another rival alien faction. They had followed the battle, waiting for weakness. Now they rushed toward her. Illyra froze. Her weapon was ceremonial. Her guards were blocked. Death was only seconds away. Suddenly someone moved. The human soldier stood up. Alien guards shouted, but it was too late. He broke free. Using the chaos, he ran toward. The Princess Illyra stared in shock.
The soldier grabbed a fallen weapon from the ground.
He stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me," he said quickly. Illyra did not understand at first. Why would a human protect her enemy? Fire came fast. The soldier returned fire without hesitation. His movements were sharp, controlled. Every shot counted. One enemy fell, then another. Illyra watched from behind him. Her heart raced. This human was injured, tired, and alone, yet he stood between her and death. An enemy charged close. The soldier stepped forward and struck, using the weapon like a blade. Blood hit the ground. The soldier took a hit to the side. He grunted, but did not fall. Illyra felt something she had never felt before. Confusion, fear, and something like respect. More enemies came to many. The soldier checked his weapon, almost empty. He looked back at the princess. "When this ends, run," he said. Illyra could only stare. "Why?" she asked. "Why protect me?" The soldier did not turn. "Because it is my duty," he said. Another blast shook the ground. Smoke swallowed them. Alien guards were finally breaking through. But they were still too far. The soldier stood firm, his body shaking but his aim steady. Alira realized something terrifying. The human might die for her, the human she had called weak. The enemies closed in. The soldier took one last breath and stepped forward. The battlefield burned. The princess watched in silence. And the galaxy was about to learn what humans truly were. Smoke covered the battlefield like a dark cloud. Fire burned in broken lines across the ground. Sounds of weapons and screams filled the air. The human soldier stood in front of Princess Alira. His armor was cracked deeper now. Blood ran from his side and arm. But his feet did not move. Enemy fighters rushed toward them, their eyes fixed on the princess. To them she was a prize more valuable than gold. The soldier raised his weapon again. It shook slightly, not from fear but from pain. He fired short, controlled shots, each one slowing the enemy, each one buying time. Alira watched closely. She had seen many warriors before, strong alien champions, with heavy armor. Trained since birth for battle, yet this human fought differently. He did not rush, he did not shout, he did not show rage. He simply stood and refused to let anyone pass. An enemy blast hit near his feet, throwing dirt and metal into the air. The soldier staggered but stayed upright. Alira reached out without thinking. Her hand touched his back. "Warm, real human," she said. "You are wounded." He did not look at her. "I can still stand," he replied. Another enemy came close. The soldier dropped his empty weapon and grabbed a broken metal rod from the ground. He moved fast, faster than Alira expected. The rod struck the enemy across the head. The force knocked the creature back. It fell and did not rise. Alira felt her breath catch. This was not weakness. This was will. Alien guards shouted from a distance. They were pushing through debris and fire, but the path was slow. Enemy numbers kept growing. Alira realized something terrible. This human was buying time. Time for her guards. Time for her escape. He was choosing to stay. "Why do you not run?" she asked. "You could leave." The soldier glanced back briefly. His eyes met hers. "Someone has to hold the line," he said. Those words struck her harder than any blast. Hold the line. In Zellery, culture warriors fought for glory, for rank, for praise. But this human, he fought so others could live. Another blast hit him, this time direct. He fell to one knee. Alira cried out without meaning to human. He pushed himself back up. "Not yet," he said. His voice was rough now. Enemy fighters circled closer, their weapons charged. Alira felt fear rise like ice in her chest. She was not trained for battle. Her armor was light, her weapon useless. For the first time in her life, the power of her title meant nothing. She was simply a being about to die unless this human stopped it. The soldier checked his surroundings. Then did something unexpected. He stepped forward, not back, not sideways, forward. He charged into the enemies. His movements were wild now. Not elegant, not perfect, but full of force. He struck one enemy. Then another. Using strength born from desperation, he was hit again. And again. Still he moved. Alira watched with wide eyes, her belief cracking with every second. Humans were weak. That was what she was taught. Yet this one refused to fall. Alien guards finally broke through the smoke. They opened fire on the enemy flank. The battlefield shifted. Enemy fighters began to retreat. The soldier turned back toward. Alira, relief flashed across his face. Then his legs gave out. He collapsed onto the ground. Alira ran to him without thinking. She knelt beside his body. "Human, stay with me," she said. His breathing was slow, his eyes half open. "Did it work?" he asked. "Yes," she said quickly. "You stopped them." He nodded slightly. "Good," he whispered, his eyes closed. Alien medics rushed in. They scanned him and shouted orders. "Heavy blood loss," one said. "Critical condition," another replied. Alira stood frozen. Her hands were shaking. She watched as they lifted the human soldier. "Placing him on a medical platform. Take him to my ship," she said suddenly. The guards looked surprised. "Princess, he is human." Alira turned sharply, her eyes hard. "He saved my life," she said. "Do it," no one argued. As they carried the soldier away, Alira followed. The battlefield faded behind her. Inside, the royal ship lights were bright and clean. So different from the fire outside, the human was taken into a medical chamber. Machines surrounded him. Alien technology far beyond human design. Alira stood behind the glass, watching silently. A medic approached her. "Princess, his body is badly damaged. I do not know if his kind can survive this treatment." Alira did not look away. "Do everything you can," she said. The medic hesitated. then bowed as time passed. Illyra felt something new grow inside her, not pity, not curiosity, respect. She replayed the moment again and again, the human standing between her and death. He had nothing to gain. Number reward, no honor in his own eyes. Yet he stood, she whispered softly to herself. Humans are not weak somewhere inside the chamber. The human soldier breathed on, and the princess realized this battle had changed more than a war. It had changed her, and the Empire would soon feel the weight of that change. The medical chamber was quiet. Soft lights glowed above the human soldier, machines hummed around his body. Thin lines and strange tools were connected to his chest and arms. Princess Illyra stood behind the clear wall. She had not moved for a long time. Time passed slowly. Every few moments, a medic checked the screens. Symbols and numbers moved in colors Illyra did not fully understand. Finally, one medic turned toward her. Princess. He is stable. His body is resisting failure. Illyra felt her chest loosen slightly. She did not realize how tense she had been. Can he hear us? She asked the medic. Paused possibly. His mind may still be aware. Illyra nodded. Leave us, the medic hesitated, then bowed and stepped away. The door closed. Illyra entered the chamber alone. She walked slowly toward the human. His face was pale, his breathing shallow, but steady. She looked at him closely for the first time, without smoke or fire between them. He looked young, younger than many Zelari warriors. His face carried scars, old and new, marks of battles already survived. This is a weak creature, she thought, yet her heart rejected the idea. She remembered how he stood, how he did not run, how his voice stayed calm. Illyra sat beside him. Human, she said softly, you cannot hear me maybe, but I will speak anyway. She paused, words felt strange. You stood in front of me even after I mocked you, even after I ordered your kind. Killed. Her fingers tightened slightly. Why? Memories answered her before he could. She remembered stories taught in the palace. Humans are emotional humans. Panic humans break. But that soldier did none of those. He broke only his body, not his will. Illyra looked at his chest, rising and falling. What makes you like this? She whispered. The door opened softly. One of her advisors entered. Princess, the council is requesting your presence. They question why a human prisoner is aboard the royal ship. Illyra stood slowly. Tell them, I will speak when I choose. The advisor looked uneasy. Princess, this will cause unrest. Illyra turned to him. Good, she said. The advisor bowed and left. Illyra returned her attention to the human. She noticed something, then a small metal tag around his neck. It was scratched and worn. She gently lifted it. Symbols carved into it, a name, Sergeant Daniel Cross. She repeated it quietly. Daniel Cross. Naming someone felt powerful. It made them real. Hours pass. The ship traveled away from the battlefield towards Zelari. Space. Illyra did not leave the chamber. Finally, the human stirred his fingers, twitched, his brow tightened, then his eyes opened. For a moment they were unfocused. Then they found her. Princess, he said weakly. Illyra felt something jump inside her. You are awake, she said. He tried to move. Pain crossed his face. Do not, she said quickly. You are badly injured. He relaxed slightly. Did it work? He asked. Are your people safe? His first thought was, others. Why? She asked. Suddenly he opened his eyes again. Why? What? Why did you stand? Why protect me? He looked confused, then thoughtful. Because it was right, he said. That answer shocked her. Right, she repeated. Yes, he said slowly. Someone needed help. You were there. She struggled to understand. You know who I am, what I represent. He nodded. Alien princess, enemy leader, and still. He looked at her directly. Still a life. The words hit her like a blade. Zelari doctrine said enemies were tools, resources, targets. Never lives. You knew you would die, she said. He shrugged slightly. Maybe then why he asked, do you regret living? She had no answer. Silence filled the chamber. Outside the door, voices rose. Arguments, anger. Illyra knew what was coming. The council would not accept this, saving a human, bringing him aboard. To them, humans were symbols of rebellion. She stood. Sergeant Daniel Cross, she said. He smiled faintly. Yes, princess. You are no longer a prisoner, she said. You are under my protection. His eyes widened slightly while she hesitated, then answered honestly. 'Cause you showed me something my empire never did. He waited. Strength, she said. Real strength. Alarms sounded suddenly. A guard rushed in. Princess, the council has ordered the human execution. They demand You surrender him immediately. Lyra felt anger rise. No, she said. The guard froze. Princess, this is direct command. Lyra stepped forward. Then they will hear my command, she said. She looked back at the human rest. She said quietly, this fight is mine now. She turned and walked out. The doors closed behind her. Daniel stared at the ceiling, listening to her footsteps fade. He did not know what would happen next, but for the first time an alien believed in him, and for the first time, the princess of the Zelari Empire stood against her own people because of one human, and the galaxy was moving toward a truth. It could no longer ignore the council chamber was vast and cold. Tall crystal pillars rose toward the ceiling. Light flowed through them like frozen fire. Princess Illyra walked alone into the chamber. Her steps echoed, every eye turned toward her. The High Council of the Zelari Empire sat in a wide circle. Old commanders, political leaders, war strategists. Their faces were hard. One voice rose above the others. You defied protocol. Princess Illyra stopped at the center. I acted to preserve life, she said. Murmurs spread. Another counselor leaned forward. You brought a human prisoner onto a royal ship. You protected him. This is unacceptable. Illyra lifted her chin. He is not a prisoner. Laughter broke out, short and sharp. Humans are enemies. One counselor said they resisted our rule. They deserve no mercy. Illyra felt heat rise in her chest. They defended their homes, she replied. We invaded. Silence fell. That word invaded, it was never spoken in the council. You question imperial doctrine, a commander said. Dangerous words from a Princess. Illyra did not step back. I question lies. Anger spread across the chamber. Another counselor stood that humans should have died on the field. His survival encourages rebellion. Illyra spoke clearly that humans saved my life. The council froze. Several looked at each other, uncertain. You expect sympathy because of that one act? A counselor asked. No, Illyra replied. I expect truth. She activated a projection. Battle data filled the air maps, signals, recordings. We did not face an unprovoked attack, she said. Humans were defending a civilian colony. Our fleet fired first. Voices rose. Denials. Arguments. Illyra raised her voice. Enough. The chamber fell silent again. I stood on that battlefield, she said. I watched humans broken and wounded. And still one stood. She turned slowly, looking at every face. He stood not for glory, not for empire, but because it was right. A commander scoffed. Emotion clouding judgment. Illyra pointed at him. No emotion revealed truth. She took a breath and spoke words that changed everything. I will not surrender. The human gasps echoed. You cannot overrule the council, someone shouted. Illyra met their anger calmly. I am the emperor daughter, and I invoke royal protection. The council erupted. Guards stepped forward, hands on weapons. Illyra did not move. Do you truly wish to spill Zelari blood over this? She asked. The guards hesitated. The High Council leader stood slowly. This decision will fracture the empire. Illyra nodded, then let it fracture, because it is already broken. The council leader stared at her, cold and calculating. Very well, he said, the human lives for now. But understand this, princess, you have chosen a side. Illyra bowed slightly. I know. She turned and left the chamber. The doors closed behind her. Outside, the ship corridors felt narrower, heavier. Her advisor hurried beside her. Princess, this will not end quietly, Irie replied softly. It was never going to. They reached the medical chamber. Inside, Daniel Cross lay awake, watching the ceiling. He turned his head when he sensed her presence. You look tired, he said. Illyra almost smiled. The council opposes you, he added. She studied him. How did you know? He shrugged. I know that look. She stepped closer. They wanted you dead. He nodded, slowly figured. Are you afraid? She asked. He thought for a moment. No, that surprised her. Why? Because I did what I believed in. He said, whatever happens after. I can live with it. Those words settled deep inside her. Daniel. She said, my choice puts my empire at risk. He met her eyes. Then maybe it needed to be risked. She exhaled. You speak like a commander. He smiled faintly. I was one. Alarms sounded again. Different this time. A guard rushed in. Princess, human ships are regrouping near the border. They are preparing a counter-strike. Illyra turned back to Daniel. They will come for revenge. He nodded. They will not trust your mercy. Yet Illyra felt the weight of it all. War, politics, beliefs. She looked at the human soldier, injured. Weak by Zelari standards, yet unbroken. What would humans do? She asked quietly. Daniel considered. Stand together or fall together. Elira straightened then. That is what we will do. She turned to the guard. Send a message to the human fleet. The guard blinked. Princess, tell them this, she said. The Zalari princess stands with the soldier who stood for her. The guard hesitated, then bowed as he left. Daniel watched her. You realize what that means, he said. Yes, she replied. It means there is no going back. He smiled slightly. Good. Elira looked at him, confused. Why good? Because humans respect those who choose and stand by it. Outside the ship, stars drifted silently to worlds were moving toward collision. Not of weapons, but of belief. And at the center of it stood a princess and a human soldier, both ready to face the cost together. The message reached the human fleet within minutes. It spread fast across ships and command decks. Many did not believe it at first. A Zalari princess standing with a human soldier. Some thought it was a trap, others thought it was a lie. But then proof followed, live transmission, clear and undeniable. Princess Elira appeared on human screens, standing in her royal armor. No guards beside her. Her voice was calm. Humans, she said. One of your soldiers saved my life. I will not allow his death, nor will I allow the lie that humans are weak. Silence filled. The human ship's commanders looked at each other. Soldiers stopped moving. Technicians froze at their stations. She continued, Your war with the Zalari Empire was built on false belief. You were attacked not because you were dangerous, but because you were misunderstood. Murmurs spread on the royal ship. Daniel Kraus watched the message from his medical bed, his body still broken, his mind clear. She is risking everything, he whispered. Inside the Zalari Empire, the council watched the same message. Their anger burned. This ends now, one counselor said. Prepare. The fleet's orders were sent. Ships began to move. Space around the border filled with energy to forces facing each other again. But this time something was different. Elira did not hide. She stood on the command deck of her ship, visible to all channels. Daniel was moved there as well, supported by medics. Princess, you should not bring him here. An advisor warned. He is a target, Elira replied. He already was. Daniel stood with effort, leaning on a support rail. The view ahead showed human ships, lines of steel and light. Human commanders opened a channel. Princess One said, Why should we trust you? Elira answered without delay, You should not trust is not given, it is earned. She turned slightly toward Daniel. This human earned mine with blood. Daniel spoke then, his voice weak but steady. We did not come to conquer, we came to protect our people. We will not kneel again. Human ships powered weapons. Not firing, but ready. Zalari fleets approached from the opposite side. Space felt tight, heavy. One wrong move would end it all. The council leader appeared on a separate channel. Princess, step aside. This is no longer your decision. Elira faced him. It never was only yours. You protect a single human over your empire, he shouted. Elira answered, I protect truth over fear. The council leader snarled, Then you stand alone. Elira glanced at Daniel, then back to the screen. No, she said, I do not. Human ships moved slightly forward, not attacking but standing. Daniel watched in silence. Human fleets aligned beside the royal ship, a clear signal. The council leader paused. You would ally with humans, he said in disbelief. Elira replied, They already stood for me. The tension stretched, then a Zalari commander broke formation. His ship drifting uncertainly, another followed, then another. Some Zalari pilots remembered the broadcast, the human soldier, the princess words. Not all believed the old doctrine anymore. Fire broke out suddenly, not from humans, from within the Zalari line. A small group fired on the council flagship. Chaos erupted. Orders clashed. Ships turned formations. Broke. Daniel grabbed the rail. Steadying himself, They are splitting, he said. Elira watched. The Empire is choosing, she replied. Human commanders did not attack. Held position. Their restraint changed everything. Zalari ships fighting each other over belief, over truth. After long minutes, the council flagship retreated, jumping to hyperspace. The remaining Zalari ships followed or powered down. Space fell quiet. No cheers, no explosions, just silence. Humans waited. Elira breathed slowly, her hands shaking now that it was over. Daniel looked at her. You just changed history. She shook her head. We did. Human commanders. Open the channel again, Princess. What happens now? Elira answered honestly. Now. We talked. Days passed. Meetings followed. Careful, tense. But different. Humans were no longer prisoners. They were representatives. Daniel recovered slowly, his injuries healing. He was present at every discussion, not as a symbol, but as a voice. Some Zalari resisted, Others listened. Stories spread about the human who stood about the princess who chose across the galaxy. Other races watched and remembered one evening. Alira stood beside Daniel on a viewing deck, stars passing quietly. "Do humans always stand like that?" she asked Daniel, smiled faintly. "Not always, but when it matters." She nodded. "I believed humans were weak," she said. "I was wrong," Daniel replied softly. "Strength does not always look loud." She looked at him. "You taught me that." He shook his head. "You learned it yourself." Faraway fleets returned home not as enemies, but as something new, and the galaxy understood one human stand had changed the fate of empires. The war did not end with a victory parade. There were no cheers across the stars, no songs of conquest. Instead, there was silence and listening. The galaxy watched what would happen next on the neutral world of Valen. A place used only for rare diplomacy delegations gathered. Humans arrived first, their ships worn but steady, their soldiers alert but calm. Then the Zalari arrived, fewer ships than before, no grand formation. Princess Alira stepped onto the platform alone, no guards, no weapons, only her royal crest on her armor. Many watched with tension. This moment mattered. Daniel Cross stood among the human delegation, still healing but standing on his own feet. When Alira saw him, she paused, then walked toward him. The galaxy saw it live. She stopped in front of him and lowered her head, a gesture no Zalari ruler had ever made to a human. The crowd froze. She lifted her head and spoke. "Once I believed humans were weak," she said. "I believed strength was measured by size, power, and fear." She looked across the gathering. "I was wrong," murmurs spread. "I stood on a battlefield," she continued, "and a human soldier stood between me and death. Not for reward, not for honor, but because it was right." Her voice did not shake. "That moment destroyed a lie my empire lived by." She turned slightly toward Daniel. This human did not change himself. He revealed what was already there. True strength. She faced the galaxy again. Humans do not dominate through fear. They endure through will. Silence followed. Deep and heavy. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She removed the Zalari royal insignia from her chest and placed it on the ground. "Today," she said, "the Zalari Empire will change or it will fall." Gasps echoed. Daniel stepped forward slowly. "Princess, you do not need to do this," he said. Alira looked at him. "I do, because leadership without truth is only control." She turned to the human leaders. "We ask for peace, not because we are weak, but because we choose to be better." Human commanders spoke quietly among themselves. Finally, one stepped forward. "Humans do not forget what was done, but we also do not forget who stood with us." He looked at Daniel, then at Alira. "We will talk." That single sentence carried hope. Days turned into weeks. Negotiations were difficult, painful. Honest humans demanded protection for their colonies, recognition as equals. Alira agreed. Many Zalari resisted. Some left, some plotted, but more stayed because belief had shifted. Daniel became a bridge between two worlds, not a hero statue, not a symbol carved in stone, but a living reminder whenever talks grew tense. Someone would look at him and remember the battlefield, remember the stand. Eventually, the treaty was signed. No grand victory, no humiliation, just agreement. The galaxy reacted. Other empires reconsidered old beliefs. Old hierarchies. Stories spread, not exaggerated, not polished. Simple truth. A human soldier stood, and an alien princess learned. Months later, Daniel prepared to return home. Alira walked with him to the ship. The stars were calm. "Your people will see you as a hero," she said. Daniel shook his head. "I just did my job," she smiled slightly. "That is why it matters." She hesitated, then spoke quietly. "When history speaks of this, they will remember you." Daniel looked at her. "I hope they remember the choice you made." She nodded. "They will." The human ship doors closed as it lifted away. Alira watched until it vanished. She placed her hand over her chest. The royal insignia was gone, replaced by something lighter. Truth back on Earth. Daniel returned to a quiet life. No throne, no power, just a soldier among many. But whenever humans faced the stars, they stood a little straighter, because the galaxy had seen them not as weak, not as small, but as unbreakable. And far across space, an alien princess ruled differently, no longer through fear, but through understanding. The belief had changed. Humans were never weak. They were simply waiting for the moment they had to stand. Time moved forward. But the echo of that battlefield did not fade across human space. News screens replayed the same image. A human soldier standing before an alien princess, fire behind him. Death ahead. Children watched it in schools. Cadets watched it in training halls. Veterans watched it in silence, not because it showed victory, but because it showed choice. Daniel Cross returned to duty quietly. He refused ceremonies, refused titles. He trained new soldiers. He listened more than he spoke. When asked what it felt like to face death, he always gave the same answer: it felt necessary. Those words spread faster than any speech on Earth. Human leaders changed their approach to the stars. No longer hiding, no longer begging, they spoke plainly. We will defend, we will stand, we will not bow. Other species listened, some mocked, some feared. But many remembered the princess words humans endure through. While far away the Zalari Empire struggled with itself. Old commanders resigned, others were removed. Illyra ruled differently. She opened records once sealed. Revealed truths buried for centuries. Her people learned that their strength had come from unity once. Not domination. Many were angry, some left, but more stayed. They began to train not only bodies, but minds. Children were taught history honestly. Even the parts that hurt, especially the parts that hurt. One lesson became famous. Strength without purpose is only destruction. Illyra often stood alone at night, looking at the stars. She replayed the moment again and again, the human stepping forward, the calm in his voice: stay behind me. She understood now. Humans were dangerous, not because of weapons, but because they chose to stand even when hope was gone. Years passed, the galaxy shifted. New alliances formed, old empires softened. Out of fear but respect. Pirate raids dropped, border wars slowed. When conflict rose, someone always asked, "What would humans do, Daniel?" Aged quietly, his hair turned gray, his steps slowed but his eyes stayed sharp. Young soldiers gathered around him. Asking questions: did you feel hate for the princess? He answered honestly, no. That answer confused them. Why not? 'Cause hate would have been easier. Standing was harder. One day, a message arrived. Zalari encryption. Royal seal. Daniel read it alone. Illyra requested a meeting, not as a ruler, but as a friend. He smiled on a small, neutral station. They met again, older, changed. She wore simple attire, no crown. "You look well," she said. "So do you," he replied. They walked together, no guards, no cameras. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. He considered. "No," she nodded. "Neither do I." They spoke of small things, of rebuilding, of mistakes. She told him of children who now studied human history, of Zalari cadets who trained alongside humans. He told her of Earth sunsets, of oceans she had never seen before they parted. She stopped. "The galaxy remembers you," she said. Daniel shook his head. "The galaxy remembers a choice." She smiled. "Exactly." They separated. No speeches, no witnesses. Years later, a monument was built, not on Earth, not in Zalari space, but between. A simple structure, no names, no titles, just words carved deep. One stood so others could live. Travelers from many worlds stopped there. Reading, thinking, some felt pride, some shame, all felt something that was the true legacy. Not power, not rule, but reflection. Long after Daniel Cross passed away, his name faded from headlines, but not from memory. Because every time a human faced the unknown, they remembered they were not weak. They never were. They were simply waiting for the moment they had to stand, and somewhere among the stars, an alien princess once believed a lie. Until a single human soldier proved her wrong.